I've never had a client in their late 60s tell me they wish they had built their business faster. It's never happened. But I hear the reverse pretty regularly, and it comes up typically as a tangent on a financial topic. We'll be halfway through a conversation about investments or tax planning, and then something just brings it out, and they bring up their body breaking down or how their diet when they're traveling on business just eventually caught up with them. And sometimes they talk about how they wish they could talk to their kids more, and somehow the relationship is lost. Kind of feels like nobody sees those things coming. And that's what I want to talk about here. People review their estate plans, they review their portfolios, but they don't really take a step back and look at their health and their family relationships. And it's not my responsibility to watch over those things, but from what I observe, I think it's something that can be greatly improved, especially among the wealthy set. So the part about the kids, I've watched people who built businesses and careers with real intensity, and they are the envy of everyone else for their financial stability and their success. Their kids have every opportunity that they want, but sometimes in those families, the kids struggle. They get in trouble at school, maybe drugs get involved, they hook up with the wrong friends, and they're not going anywhere, and they're taking the kids along with them. And sometimes the parents of those kids, they'll just freely admit to me that they just weren't home much during the years where all of this developed. And it's really impossible to tell whether if they had been home more, these problems would have been prevented, because there are deeply involved parents whose kids struggle anyway. There's also families where one kid thrives and another kid doesn't, even though they're raised under the same roof with the same rules. So I've got no scientific rigor to offer on this. It's just observation and anecdotes. But I think they're worth listening to if you're concerned about the intangibles that don't show up on your balance sheet. Ultimately, you can't prove that being present would have fixed any problems, but you also can't prove that being absent wasn't going to cause any harm. And I think this can rear its head in two different ways. One is that the kids and at least one of the parents, they're just not close. And then the other is more that the kids are contributing to much of anything, including their own finances. And it really seems to me like when I meet a family that has the next generation completely checked out of the wealth, it looks like it can be traced back to nobody being around or not being around enough in the years where they're informing their opinion on how they wanted to live their life. But I've seen the opposite too. I can think of one family that had a father that worked constantly. The parents eventually divorced, but the mother stayed at home. She had a great relationship with all the children. And in this family, the wealth still got built, and the kids are engaged with their own money today. And even though the marriage didn't hold, the mother pulled everyone together. Or at least that's how it seemed to me. Now, the father lost the relationship, but the financial stability arguably gave the mother the opportunity to completely lock in her relationship. Now, the part about the body is a different situation. It's a little bit simpler, and a lot more people talk about it. You can find millions of versions of what I'm about to say on Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok, and LinkedIn. And when people get older and their health starts to fail, it seems like the common refrain is, I wish I had taken care of this sooner. And it seems like it flows back to exercise and diet. Not a doctor, but that's just what it seems to be from my perspective. People, especially in the United States, are increasing their lifespan, but their health span isn't keeping up with that. They're not staying well enough to enjoy that time that they're alive. And these are things people worry about after they've made their money, and sometimes there's not much they can do about it. Now, when they look back on it, no one ever says outright that they wish they'd earned less. They just say they wish they'd been healthier and closer to their kids or their spouse. And asking you to trade one for the other is not what I'm saying here. It's a lot more nuanced than that, because if you've worked very hard to build up your wealth and your assets and your business, the question becomes, that time that you're still spending producing money, is it necessary or has it just become your habit? Because at a certain point, your security is more or less locked in. There's never any guarantees, but at a certain point, it becomes harder to lose it all. And even though things have vastly changed from when you were trying to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you're still keeping the exact same schedule that you had when life was uncertain. So that additional effort or the additional hours that you're putting in, they're not buying safety anymore. They're just being traded out for two other accounts that don't really refill, which are relationships and health. So that's what I'm asking you to take a look at. Is this trade worth it? Doesn't mean you have to give up ambition. It's just a question of whether the specific hours that you're spending on earning are worth what you are actually earning. So this isn't medical or parenting advice, but this is what I do, and it's based on what I've seen work in other families. So I think it's important to protect specific time with your kids and your spouse and make that time protection physical. What I mean by that is take your phone and put it in a completely different room, not face down on the table. And that's the easy part. You get it out of your physical space. It is harder to pull your brain out of whatever you're working on during the day and put your attention on your family. But all you got to do is try. You're not going to do it perfectly, but it's better than just not doing it at all. I also like to schedule exercise when it can't be interrupted. I've tried to find the time here and there. Never works for me. I just pick the window where no one else needs anything from me. I do it at 5 a.m. It's going to be different for everyone. And I don't do it because I like it. It's because everyone else in my house is asleep and no one's calling on me for business matters. Other thing I try to do is make the healthy choice the easy choice. So I try to eat a certain way, and I know a few places that are near my office where I can get something quick if I'm in a bind. And I like to have things ready at home too that are easy for me to grab and eat during the day. It's going to be different for everyone, but for me, it's not like I'm losing to temptation. It's that I'm losing to a lack of preparation. I also use a one-page dashboard that helps me stay focused on the things that I want to keep important to me. And the way I look at this is like a portfolio review. Approach it with the same amount of seriousness. Am I having real conversations with my wife and kids? Am I keeping up with doctor's appointments? Am I keeping up with my dietary goals? Am I keeping up with my exercise? As long as I read this at least once a day, it helps me stay focused. So I'll leave you with this. With my oldest clients, they aren't telling me that they wish they had compounded their wealth faster. I've not heard it. It's all the other things that they say that they wish they had built more time for.